My name is Stephanie. I have the honor of sitting with Mr. István Hernek, father of Mr. Steve Hernek, who works here at the Tabernacle. Mr. Hernek, you have such an interesting background, and you come from a beautiful country of Hungary. Tell us a little bit about your experiences in Hungary with music.
Hungarian music goes back over 2,000 years. Actually, it started out in Middle Asia somewhere before we migrated to Hungary. And the structure of Hungarian folk music hasn't changed in 2,000 years. As a matter of fact, there was a lady from a nation from Eastern Asia that came over in the 80s, and she sang, I think, about 72 or 74 folk songs. And 34 of them, had we put Hungarian words to it, no one would have ever recognized that they weren't actually Hungarian songs. You know, and Hungarians are very musical people. My family, we have, all of my family were singers. I remember when they got together for some sort of a get-together, a festive meal, they would always end up singing, and they would sing early into the morning, and I was listening to that, and then when I got old enough, I sang with them. I myself sang in a children's choir, but they kicked me out of there when my voice changed, and I decided maybe sports would be the way to go. And my father also played the violin, so there was music around me all the time.
Right. And did it just come very natural to you, and you really enjoyed it, and along with your whole family?
Yes, yes. We never gave it a second thought. No, it was always, everybody was singing in my family all the time. And the neighborhood where we lived in Hungary, I stayed a lot of times with my grandmother in a country. I am not going to say the name because you will never be able to understand it. It's Török Szent Miklós, maybe I should say it. And they would sit out under the window every night. They would put me to bed because I was young, and they would sit under the windows and they would sing. And I would climb up on the sill. We had a wide windowsill. I'd climb up on the windowsill, and I would listen to that singing and the stories until I fell asleep. And of course, about midnight or so, my grandmother would come in and she would put me to bed. And I never remember when I went to bed. I just remember them singing.
Oh, what a nice way to go to sleep.
Yes. Yes.
Now, how long did you stay involved in music?
Only until my voice changed. Then I became interested in sports, and that became my passion. And I wanted to succeed in sports, and what it takes to get to the very top level in sports is exactly the same that it takes to get to the top level in music. You have to eat it, you sleep it, you live it, and that's all you think about. So there was really no possibility for me to seriously stay in music or stay involved with music because sports took up all my time. Now, of course, school too.
Right. Now, because of that passion, you ended up doing very well in sports too. Can you talk a little bit about what your sports history is?
I tried a number of sports. I tried boxing, I tried wrestling, I tried judo, I tried cycling, and I liked them all, but for some reason or other, I settled on canoeing, single canoeing. And within 2 years, I was on the national team and went to the 1956 Olympics and came to the United States. Sports Illustrated magazine organized a tour. They called it the Freedom Tour. That was right after the 1956 Hungarian Revolution. And someone apparently read the article and gave me a call. I lived in Minnesota. Hey, would you come and coach my kids? And that's where I met my wife, and she went to the 1960 Olympics in Rome. I proposed to her in a letter. I didn't dare to do it face-to-face because I was afraid she would say no. So I figured if I get a letter saying, well, hey, get lost, I would have been able to take it much easier.
That's a wonderful story.
And that's how I met my wife. And, of course, then the children began to come, starting with Stephen.
So how many children did you have?
3 altogether.
Okay.
Stephen is the musician. Anna Marie is the horse person. We put her on a horse when she started to walk, actually, and she has been with horses all along. And Stephen stuck with music. And my youngest son, Peter, he got into ski racing. But because of the financial difficulties, it's almost impossible to get somewhere in that sport unless you have tons of money to spend on it with the travels and the equipment. So unfortunately, he couldn't get to where he could have gotten. He had great talent for it, but just one of those things.
Now, for Steve to excel so much in music, your wife, Marianne, must have come from a musical background as well?
Yes.
What was her...
Her father was the first violinist in the Cleveland Philharmonic. And it was interesting because there was music around that house also. My father-in-law loved to play the guitar. He could play the piano, but he was a violinist, but he loved to play the guitar. And he would sing all these Western songs, like songs of the pioneers, that sort of a thing. And Stephen just absolutely loved it. He was about 2 years old when he tried to climb up on the piano bench, so we helped him up there, and he began to blink out a little melody with the right hand and accompanied it with the left. So I said to Marianne, hey, we got really something interesting here. And by the time he was 4 years old, he figured out the fingering on all the songs that my father-in-law used to sing, and he could actually play the songs. So we got him a little keyboard and enrolled him in music lessons, but that's a long story.
Well, that's why we're here, actually.